And here we are now. Welcome to round 4 in Japan. This is one of my top 5 tracks. Not really for the racing, but more for the driver feel around the track. It just flows nicely. So this time, I have added the AI for this session just to bring up more immersion. As we start with a green track, since the conditions in real life were pretty good. A lot of the times were quick, and this time I decided to take my time with the simulation runs to get myself ready and more familiar with the car. But now I am pushing the whole session just to get comfortable with the speed and not being afraid anymore. The AI for this session were quite slow and in the way, which is unfortunate. All of this for trying to feel as if I was in a real session. But the immersion levels were still through the roof. Mine is someone running with inters in a dry track. We will never understand the AI in this game. Here's hoping that AC Evo has better AI and remains consistent with mods. So in real life, actually before we get into a real life FP1, let's talk about the reveals of deliveries of the cars for the 2026 season. Wow, I mean, I'm not going to lie, this time a lot of teams have cooked with deliveries. The Mercedes, I kind of see what they were trying to do, as if it is what they were trying to do with their livery. The Red Bull, it's a bit more bright, so that's nice. McLaren, very nice, sexy, stealthy. I still would like to see a little bit of orange though. A little bit more orange, in fact. I don't know. Some people weren't a fan of the orange for some reason, but for me, it was unique. We didn't have any other orange cars on the grid. So having McLaren being orange would be nice. Just not too much orange. That would be perfect. But anyways, the Ferrari, I'm not going to lie, at first I didn't like it. But it's actually growing on me, and I'm going to go on a small tangent. Besides that, all the other team liveries, they're doing a pretty good job. But let's talk a tiny little bit, just a good 30 seconds or so, of the preseason tests that have gone this week. First of all, Mercedes. Wow. They were going at it guns blazing. They were not holding anything back. All the other teams, they're doing what they can, and the new teams that came in, like Cadillac and Audi, they're trying, but, it's going to be tough for them. And I'm sure that they are aware that this is an uphill battle. Other teams than that, like Aston Martin, man, going back to Honda, I mean, not Aston Martin really going back to Honda, but Fernando seeing a Honda engine again. Sure, they were strong before the regulation change with Red Bull, but I mean, oh boy. Let's hope this is a good engine because they let go of Mercedes, and Mercedes seem to have found a bit of a loophole. Yikes. Please let this not be a repeat. We will see though. Besides that, the biggest flop in my opinion, I mean, Williams, they did show up, so there's that. But other than that, my biggest flop, at first, it seemed like they were a flop. Let me just correct myself. It was, since they failed in 2025 quite spectacularly, I'm just gonna say, is Ferrari. What the heck? What the actual heck? Even though they managed to do a decent job during the preseason testing or the shakedown or whatever you want to call it, and they seem to be putting in some good lap times, although those lap times really don't mean much. The fact that they decided to put their first session in the rain is just confusing to me. I mean, did they not see the weather forecast? Unless if they were actually trying to, on purpose, run in the rain, then maybe it's a big brain move. Who knows? We'll see at the end of the day. At the end of the day, if you want a team to let you down, you can always count on Ferrari. Okay, so real life FP1. It started fairly nice, actually. Wait. Why am I roasting Ferrari so much? Actually, come to think of it, I need to stop doing that because I'm a supporter. But at the same time, I'm very pragmatic and straight to the point. Okay, I just hope that they lock in this time, please, because McLaren did it, and I'm sure you can do it too. At least I hope. Oh, and also, if you like this challenge and want to see more, like and subscribe to show some support. It really helps. And I would like to thank you guys. You are the best. Anyway, going back to FP1 in real life, it started fairly nice, but Logan brought out the red flag with 30 minutes of time remaining. Yes, it didn't look too bad, but again, it was something that Williams did not need. And my lap times were actually fast. My fastest time was at 29.5. In comparison to real life, where Max had the fastest time of a 30.0, that would put me in first place. Maybe the conditions I set were too easy, as I was barely pushing and I was already setting fast laps. Interesting. So one interesting thing I found out about this is that in VR, the car felt more oversteered than on a flat screen. With the TV cam, I was able to understand the car's movement a lot better and really lean on the tires. I really had way more confidence. Now, of course, the track was set to optimum compared to FP1, which is set to green, so, there's a lot less grip. Maybe that's one of the reasons. But the car felt so squirrely on a green track. Reason why I was not pushing, and somehow I was still getting fast laps. But it mainly felt like I just point the car in a direction and it just went. It was weird, but whatever. To be honest, I don't think I need to take FP2, as I already felt comfortable enough. But in real life, FP2 had interesting conditions, and that I wanted to test out. So in real life, Piastri actually topped the times. It is what it is. Because the track conditions were bad due to the rain and the rubber was now being washed away, making the track slippery and green again. But oh well. Here we go. In the wets. Let's not crash. I just wanted to see how little grip I would have in the slicks, and the answer is 0. It was fun, but matching the conditions for wet will be very tricky. And AI isn't good in these conditions at the slightest. But rain driving is nice though. I gotta admit, especially in VR. It's a nice vibe, but still AMS2 does it way better. Obviously, because no mods and it comes in stock with the game. But anyway, here are the top times for FP2 and FP3. It was really boring to watch, not going to lie. And that is in real life. But on FP3, everyone was out laying rubber to help the track getting more grip, but also to prepare for qualifying. And I took the liberty to do the same. Basically, I just merged FP2 and FP3 together in just one session for that 1 hour. So half an hour in the rain, half an hour in the dry track. And just to get fully comfortable on leaning on the car. And here we are now in Q1. So with this car, I felt really comfortable. And with this setup, I believe I can actually make it into Q3. I mean, I already saw my lap times, so I better not let myself down. So let's talk about those laps in qualifying. As I begin my first lap after setting mode from recharge to quali, I stomp on the throttle, take a wide line to begin the lap, so I can begin the lap with the most amount of speed. And I start going through the S's, not leaning too hard on the tires as I wanted to build to it, and I just got to keep it clean. Now, fast forward to the end of the lap, I cut that curb a little bit, as some drivers were doing it in real life, and stay close to the wall to put in a time of a 1:29.0. So just a little bit faster than my FP1 time. Not bad. Not bad at all. It's not super quick, let's be real. It's just half a second. But yeah, it seems like that lap time would bring me to Q2. But I went for another lap again because I knew I could go faster. This time adding a little bit more risk. The track felt fast and it felt a lot less oversteering. And already on this lap, I gained 3, is it almost 3/10? Yeah, but I cut the curbs even more to really get that 10th. And somehow I'm still losing time even after I gained 3/10. But whatever. At the end, I put a 1:28.8. Not bad. I'm not gonna lie, not too bad. At the end of this, was I able to make it through? Even though it's just Q1? So I checked the times and wow. Wow, indeed. I was able to make it into Q2. Now that's impressive. So now on to Q2. Though I was already setting quick laps, I was wondering again, how fast could I go? Since I was already reaching my limits. But as I pushed on, I was not able to gain a whole lot of time throughout the lap. As going through the S's, I'm already down. And then at the end, I just managed to go about 1/10. Am I going to go about 1/10? Yes, just about 1/10. So I wasn't going too fast. I went 28.7. Not crazy fast, but already reaching my limits. So it's really just pushing the car to try and go super fast. At the end, I decided to just speed up the time because I knew that this lap was quick enough from checking if I made it to Q2. I knew the Q2 times, so there was no point in me staying there. So I actually made it, into Q3. Oh my goodness. The progression from not even making it into Q2, not even breaking the top 15, to getting inching closer and closer round after round. And now I am finally in Q3. Man, this progress has been good. And on top of that, on one of my top tracks, pretty nice. Pretty nice. I'm not going to lie, I was very happy about that. So yeah, I began to set my lap time for Q3. I just go and accelerate and, let's just put a time to see, am I going to able to put it on pole? Because I did still think like maybe I made the conditions a little too easy or something. I don't know. I mean, this challenge is going to be inconsistent at times. It's not going to be perfectly consistent with real life, but it's still a fun challenge. So as I begin the lap, going through the S's, going up a tenth, and this time I was really ringing the car, leaning on the tires like crazy and trying my best to go on the throttle as early as possible. And I'm already about 3/10 up before the end of the first sector. So onto the second sector of the lap, I just throw the car into the Degners. That's the Degners, right? Yeah. And I gained another tenth. So 4/10 up now. Now onto the hairpin, which is very tricky, but I went on the throttle quite early and somehow I didn't lose any time. In fact, I gained a couple of hundredths of a second. So now I'm almost 5/10 up. Now here I just leaned even more. This kind of got scary, I'm not going to lie. But I just trusted the car and I was like, I'm just going to end up wide if I'm starting to lose the car. And somehow I didn't lose the car. And I'm almost 6/10 up near the end of the lap. I was still going faster. So that's nice. I tried to cut the curves, but I think I cut the curves a little bit too much as I was starting to lose some time. That's unfortunate. But at the end, about 4/10 up, a 1:28.2. What the heck? That is insane pace. I honestly was amazed by that. I threw caution to the wind and it felt so good to do this lap. And when I checked at the end of this to see where I would be, and I would have been in P3. No crashes, no mess ups. And I am at P3? What a crazy lap. It felt so good, I'm not gonna lie. It felt so good, I was ecstatic. Now, with that being said, let's just see the lap replay as we talk about the race a little bit. Insane. Man, smiles ear to ear. That was a crazy lap. Anyway, what's the race again? Right. So during the race, Max Verstappen, having set the fastest lap, started in first. But there was a crash between Ricciardo and Albon. Mostly Ricciardo at fault, which is unfortunate. And that caused a red flag. So yeah, there's not a lot of movement after that. We had some overtaking, but I still feel like it was mainly due to strategy. The overtakes were pretty nice. I mean, we had Tsunoda doing those crazy ass overtakes. That was wild. I never thought that would have been possible, especially with those boat-like F1 cars. But it was a beautiful show for the fans. And he did it twice on top of that. So that was good. I'm not sure how the overtakes are going to be or how they're going to look like in 2026. But I hope we're going to see some more overtakes in this track. And maybe some before the spoon curve and maybe some overtakes before that hairpin after the Degnus. And also, we're definitely going to see some overtakes on the main straight. But I hope that with those cars being nimble, in a way, that the drivers will also be able to run side by side for more sequences of corners. That would be pretty cool. And I hope we don't get one team running away with the victory like in 2023 or, Mercedes 2014. I don't even want to see a Mercedes engine battle. But anyways, Max won that race and it was quite enjoyable. I guess you could say, it is still Japan, one of my favorite tracks. So I always like seeing the cars driving around that track. It looks so fast, especially in those S's. I would give it about a 3.5 out of 5 stars. But that is the end of this video. If you liked it and you want to see more, please subscribe and like the video. And I'll see you in the next one, as we will talk more about the 2026 cars. So goodbye. See you later.